I think they liked it. There was 1,000, 2,000 people that night somewhere in France. I'm playing a concert 25 years ago, and that was a song called Jamento. Jamaica, play on words because Jamaica, where I come from, and mento, which is the original music, kind of came from West Africa into the islands of the Caribbean, and that is the cornerstone, that beat of the New Orleans music, the music that went to Brazil, the bossa nova kind of music, the samba. You hear that boom, 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 and we call it, I made up the word, Jamaica, mento. So that's called Jamento. Monty Mento, Monty Alexander Mento, Ja. Thank you for joining me today, ladies and gentlemen. If I was in Jamaica, I would say Wappum, which is our way of saying what's happening. Or as the British would say, how do you do today? You know, we're greeting each other. And I've been doing this for a while. This is the 19th installment of Monty's Big Mouth, known as The Adventures of Monty Alexander, also known as Reminiscing in Rhythm or Riddim. Jamaican like to say rhythm rather than rhythm. Too much trouble to go the. So maybe we take a shortcut, say the rhythm. That's it. So reminiscing in rhythm. I'm reminiscing, and I think I'll tell you first of all the nice adventure that came as a result of a recording I did with none other than, believe it or not, Clint Eastwood, the great movie man, the producer, the director, the actor, the star, the Western hero, and that this whole process is thanks to my dear Katerina, also known as Puss. She put that music together just now and encouraged me to talk about some of these adventures of earlier recordings. And this one is called Bird, and Bird.
We chose Bird.
We chose Bird. Now, Bird is the affectionate term that the lovers of Charlie Parker called him. There's a funny story how they say Bird didn't waste anything valuable, and a chicken that got sideswept on the road from the bus he was riding in, that was the end of the chicken on the road. And Charlie Parker said to the guys in the rest of the bus, said, turn the bus around, man, we're going to get that bird because we're going to cook that bird. And from that day on, they called Charlie Parker Bird. That's the story, I heard it. So when he said Bird lives, and his music was so incredible. His influence, his spirit is with us today. It's a big part of our jazz world, which is a part of my musical output, because bebop and jazz is just a part. I reference my Jamaican thing, my love of the themes I heard in the movies, the classical themes, the cowboy songs. It's all good with Monty Alexander. But this happened as a result of my colleague, the great Ray Brown, saying to me when we were playing a concert in Denver, Colorado, he said, he called me Xander, Alexander. Xander, he spelled it with a Z or a Z. Xander, I said, yeah? He said, where are you going to be next week, Thursday? I said, I don't know. Why? What? He said, well, in L.A., they're making a movie and we need some music. Are you available? I said, yeah, I guess so. What is it? It is a movie about Charlie Parker, and it's going to be made by Clint Eastwood. Now, folks, let me tell you something. I grew up loving the cowboy movies, the westerns, and all these famous people in the films, of which Clint Eastwood was the new groundbreaking star with the spaghetti, they call them, spaghetti westerns. And I was totally knocked out because I'm a movie fan, right? So it was a great thrill for me to join them in this recording. It was at Warner Brothers, and I joined Ray, and the drummer was a Los Angeles-based excellent swinging drummer named Johnny Garin. And Johnny was the drummer, Ray Brown the bassist, I'm the piano. What we did was play along with some recordings that were made by Charlie Parker, and they were kind of not in the studio recordings. There were sessions that his widow, Mrs. Parker, had these recordings, and Clint Eastwood decided, he had the great idea, because the recording was a little chintzy, wasn't as up to the highest fidelity, and he thought that would be a good idea to bring modern instruments playing in the time. This was a good many years ago. So sure enough, we started playing along with Charlie Parker on the tape, and lo and behold, it came out beautifully. It wasn't the real thing with Charlie Parker because Charlie Parker had long been deceased. So this was the end result of the Bird recording, and that's when I met Clint for the first time. And I remember I spoke with him, and I told him I was playing in town at this particular club called the Loa, which was on Pico Boulevard in Santa Monica, and it was a place that Ray Brown himself had something to do with. And I was there with my trio, with those two great musicians, John Clayton and Jeff Hamilton. And the next couple of days later, Clint Eastwood came into the club to see me and hear my music. He was a jazz lover and a very warm and friendly man, I gotta tell you. It's amazing that he has done so much. You think all those people who are successful people, they gotta be tough guys and other people around. But everybody that I've ever met said Mr. Eastwood was the most gracious guy. He would stand in the line when the actors had to get their food during the takes of the film. They'd all stand in line with their little pan there waiting for whatever the food was going to be. And Clint was right in the line with everybody, very quietly, modestly waiting there for his turn. So this is a gracious man of much humility. You gotta love him, I do. He's been real kind to me. He's come to my gigs on several occasions. And not only on that occasion did I meet him, but I met his son, who was at the time about 14, 15 years old, young. His name was Kyle. And if you have kept up with the music scene, you recognize the name Kyle Eastwood, who's out there blazing a trail of great music, playing his bass fiddle. He chose to go in the direction of music and specifically jazz. So Clint's son Kyle is out there tearing it up with his group and writing themes for his father's films. So it was a real honor to meet Mr. Clint Eastwood and his son Kyle, who years go by, and there's Clint tugging his bass fiddle all through the airport, waiting to go to the gig, wherever it is, and I run into him ever so often, touring in France and in Germany and wherever. So, little bit of news you didn't ask me to tell you, but came out of me. Bird, by the way, that person is not Bird, it's Forrest Whitaker, actor Forrest Whitaker. And I remember Clint standing there looking at Forrest, while to get the hairline right, he was saying, maybe shave the hairline a little more, like that. And they were sitting there having a terrific conversation and a fond memory. And that's what happened at Bird. And we pulled it off. We played with the group with that Charlie Parker was originally recorded, and we kind of drowned them out. And a lot of people who went to the film when it came out, they all claimed, I knew Charlie Parker and his personality was different to the one that was portrayed on the screen by Forrest Whitaker and Clint Eastwood. And they were a little disturbed because they wanted to see the Charlie Parker they knew. This was, however that personality was. And the fact that Mr. Eastwood's version was maybe a little different. A few people, could have, should have been this, could have been that. Hey, what you going to do? There's always somebody don't like something you did or didn't do. So, Monty's big mouth at work. Well, we all get the blues, right? And I think the blues is not just a music form. Hey, sing the blues. Yeah, play the blues, or that's blues, or rhythm and blues, or whatever. Or I'm going to give you a black and blue. That's what, Blues, I think, is / another word for a very, very misused word in the English language that everybody gets at some point or another. It's called depression. People get depressed, especially now. And it's up to people to try to raise people out of a depression and bringing them into a more, let's call it, positive outlook on things. Because right about now, we have a situation going on that you look at that side of it, that's over there, there's another situation there, there's this. Look at here. If you don't get depressed, then something wrong. You're not human. So Monty Alexander get a touch of that depression every now and then, but I beat it off somehow. I beat it off. Yes, that's what we're here to do. Beat off the depression and the down depression, we like to say in Jamaica. Because the Rasta man in Jamaica come real when he uses the English language. He doesn't say, I appreciate you. He say, I appreciate, love you. Because hate sound like hate. Okay. So depression is down depression. And I think even in the scriptures you read about the psalmist, David, the great king, talking about when he had his version of being down, you know. And one of the things I come up with is music. Music, I start playing a tune, you know, and it'll turn my hole into donut. You know, you got the donut, you got the hole. Well, you can't eat the hole, so I'm seeing these old album covers. That's Monty Alexander, The Yard Movement, and this is Ernest Ranglin. We made those two albums at the same time for Chris Blackwell on the Ireland Jazz record label. Me and Ernie, there we are, best of friends. Ernie is fine. He's down in Jamaica, taking it easy, and waiting to play his guitar, and hope he and I get together one day before too long, right? So, blues music was a big part of my beginnings, and also the westerns, and that's where I heard something that came originally from Switzerland. What's that? Well, in Switzerland, because of those mountains, the people up in the mountains, they want to send a message to the people on the other mountain, and they had various ways of doing it. It's like with American Indians, and you see it in the Western movies. How do they communicate? Smoke signals. So they send up the smoke, they light the fire, and they fan the fire with the blanket, and it sends up like Morse code, right? Well, another version of communicating, and especially in Switzerland, is this thing called yodel. And I love yodel. And I dare say that if anybody learns how to yodel, there's no way you're going to feel bad all day. Because you start yodeling, it brings up a song, you know? When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, the sun comes shining through, and goes on. So I sing those kind of songs when I have the blues, or like I play me some blues, and I love the blues, and it goes. Got me running, got me hiding, got me run, hide, run, anywhere you want me to go. Baby, you gotta do what you do, baby. Don't leave me in the back room. This is your leg. Smiling. That's Monty's yodeling blues, you know. So I do that, and if nobody's around, I'm all by myself. I start yodeling, and I start smiling. So we're talking about how not to give in to the low feeling that comes at a time like now, or any time for that matter. And my job in life is to bring a little smile, a little joy. I found the piano, and it makes me see the bright side of things when I'm smiling. Now, to move on, this is a very special time for many of us because of Jamaica. Jamaica just celebrated 58 years of independence, and August the 6th, a couple of days ago, was the day of independence for this place called Jamaica. The British colonial wonderful people decided, we're going to let you have it, folks. You want to run your own business, do whatever you want, you're in charge now, because we're going back to England. Go be with the Queen and them, all them people. The Jamaicans took care of business, had a few bumps along the way, and right now we have a wonderful government taking care of business. In fact, so much so that the virus that has been plaguing so many places in the world, very bad here in America in certain places, more than others. Jamaica is one of those places where it has been held in check thanks to our good Prime Minister Holness, a man of esteem, and his cabinet, his team. I hear all the good news. They're taking care of business, meaning Jamaicans are well off, as are the people in the Bahamas. where the prime minister there was a medical man, and right away he shut things down. He knew what he had to do, whereas it doesn't go like that all over the place, right? Italy is doing much better than in the beginning, but you never know when that virus is going to rear its ugly head again. So we're all on the watch. We got to be ready with them boxing gloves and punch that sucker out, right? And keep going with a sensible way of looking at things, such as wearing the mask and being wise and careful. Okay, so I'm not here to lecture, but I like to say that to you. No, the independence of Jamaica came out at the very same time that a movie came out. I had just come to America. I was living in Miami. And excuse me, I may have told this story previously to this occasion, but it was because that film was made in Jamaica. I had a especially warm feeling about that movie. In fact, I went to see that movie most numerous of times, as my friend Grady Tate used to say. Most numerous of times. Rest the soul of Grady Tate, one of the swinging drummers of all time. We played a lot of music together. So, this theme was in my guts, and most of us that have followed the legacy of 007, for starting with the great Sean Connery. This movie was filmed in Jamaica, and I went to see it because in the movie there were a lot of guys in that film that I recognized that were part of Jamaican life, you know. And the movie was called Dr. No, not Yes. I mean, there's a Dr. Yes, you over in the other part. This is Dr. No. And Dr. No was filmed all over Jamaica, and the scene at the Dunn's River Falls, which a lot of people remember most fondly because a very beautiful lady came out of the ocean with a bikini. It was the German-born or Swiss-born actress Ursula Andress, and she was the love interest, whereas Sean Connery, 007, they had what you call a fling, you know? And she came out of the water right out off of Dunn's River Falls, this amazing waterfall area where the tourists love to go there and Jamaicans love to go there and bathe in these falls. And coming out of the water, but she had a dagger coming right next to the bikini. She had the dagger in the waist. And it's an interesting story about that dagger. You know, a guy I know I went to school with said, you know, they borrowed the dagger that my friend who was a cadet at it's like after Boy Scouts, you got the cadets, and that's kind of preparing people for joining the army, right? Anyhow, Ursula come out of the water with the knife, and all you could do is just pray that she did not bend over or bend forward, because then that knife go and juke, you know? So anyhow, Sean Connery and Ursula Andress, among other people in Dr. No. Now, there was a theme, right? And I'm going to have me a go with my theme. You heard that before? Make it up. Okay, reminiscing in rhythm of that approach to this music came from what was happening in Jamaica. Just about that time was called ska, that captured the world. Here we are in the year 2020, and I noticed all over Europe, in France, the young folks, they want to dance to the ska. It captured them so much. It's a very danceable rhythm. And it coincided with my arriving in America, with Jamaican independence, and with the release of the first James Bond film, which, as you know, captured the world for fun and entertainment. The stories of all the bad guys trying to destroy things, and there's James Bond version number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, the present gentleman who is doing it, Daniel Craig. It's a fabulous thing. So, here I am doing a little historical, some people say hysterical remembrance. Monty Alexander's Big Mouth at work. Now, I'm going to translate into something else now and talk about sweet, beautiful, incredible human beings that also happen to be musicians. Terrific performers. And when they do their performing, the world turns, gets goosebumps, and we dream of the most beautiful dreams. And I'm going to mention a man's name who has been a really dear friend to me. He took a liking to how I played the piano. He heard a recording I did which was in tribute to this man and his music. And the man's name, his original name, because he's from Italy, his family is from Italy, is Antonio Benedetto. Affectionately known by his family as Antonio Benedetto, but by the world at large, he's Tony Bennett. And Tony Bennett, who I saw first performing in the 70s, and then I met him on the street and he said, come on, let's have some coffee. We went and had some coffee, and little by little we became quite friendly, and he heard this recording I did, and he called me and he said, I want you to play on my record, my next record. I said, what is that record? He says, well, I'm doing an album, a Christmas album. I said, okay. I said, but you know, Tony, thank you for inviting me, but I don't read any music. I don't read, because when I read, I start to get uncomfortable. I get nervous, I start sweating. I have to use my radar, my ears. He said, you don't need to read. I said, what? He said, you know Christmas songs, right? He says, well, we're going to do it with the Count Basie Orchestra. Wow. Well, Count Basie had been deceased by that time, but they had a new version of the band, and he wanted me to play with the Count Basie Orchestra, and I was going to reflect how Count Basie played. And he was a minimalist. At most, when everybody else is going like this on the piano, blah, 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 he's just plunking, you know. That was what Count Basie did. He was like, less is more. In fact, that's what Tony said. You don't have to worry about it. Just give me some of that swinging thing that you do, and it's going to be great. And sure enough, I recorded with Tony on this album that became called A Swinging Christmas. And we played You Better Watch Out, and Silver Bells. All these Christmas songs, right? And it was a wonderful moment. But as a result of that, I even got more familiar with Tony. But here's the thing. I was about 8 years old in Jamaica as a kid when my mother, who loved the beautiful songs that came from America, by Bing Crosby and Victor Moan and Paddy Page and Rosemary Clooney, and of course we all love Ray Charles and Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole was like king, literally, King Cole. And I heard a song performed by a man, this is 1952, hey, that's a while back. And that song is called Because of You. What a beautiful tune. And it stayed with me all these years. And when Tony Bennett performs, he has to throw that in, because people remember that when the first hits he had, it was a big hit. My mother would sing it, I was singing it. And today, I'm going to invite number one queen. There's only one queen, right? And she's also known as the co-pilot. She's Miss Cat, or Puss. And Cat gonna come and give you a version of Because of You. And after that, you're gonna share a few little anecdotes about this, that, the other. And here she is. We stand up and welcome you into the main section.
You can't see you, get to see your head cut off.
I thought you said my head was
no,
over there.
I got back on the closest. I'm gonna sit here.
All right, so you're gonna sit
I don't know
there.
if they can see us.
Hey, there you are.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
All right.
Would you like an introduction to the song called Because of You?
Because of You. I learned this from you.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you hear the song too?
No.
Okay. Well, okay, all right. love this song, and I love you singing it,
Oh.
and I love you, and thank you for singing it and making me happier than I was before you sang it.
Nice.
That's great.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett, for the song. And
Yes,
Monty.
and may you be with us. And he just had a birthday just a couple of days ago on August the 6th.
No, the third.
On the
Was it
3rd.
the third?
Tony had a birthday. He became younger than before. He was always young, and we have to love that man, because when he sings, the angels are right there on his shoulder, and ours as well. So, and that was Frank Sinatra's favorite singer. Mr. Sinatra said it a bunch of times, and they were the best of friends. You had something you want to
I
share?
have a question. I have a question for you and for everybody.
Oh, yeah?
We've been doing these live streams.
Oh,
I
yeah?
didn't ask you about that. So we've been doing live stream, Monty talking, right? Talk. So if you're watching this, obviously if you're watching this, if you're not watching, you don't know I'm talking. So if you're, those of you who you're near, if you're near a keyboard, your computer screen or iPhone, let us know. We're thinking maybe Monty should do a full set of music.
Like when I played at in Vienna Concert House just a couple of months ago, like me alone.
Yeah, but yeah, you alone from here, and maybe I sing a song or two.
Well,
I don't know.
usually the concert
If people
grand
want-
piano, 9 foot long, or the Bosendorfer, or the Yamaha, or the Steinway, and here is my nice home piano which plays beautifully. I wish I had a grand piano,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
right on this one.
So
you
we
mean?
could, yeah. So we could, because there's ways to do that. But the only thing is, we would, and this is why I'm asking you, there would have to be a little payment for
Oh
it.
yeah, you mean?
So it would be like on a different thing, like on StageIt or on Zoom,
Okay,
and just a thought.
and now we get a cup, right?
Would you pay for it? Get
Well,
a cup. Get a virtual cup. So just a thought. As we're
virtual
looking
cup.
at concert.
And,
So
and then I can get some mangoes and some coconuts
mangoes and coconuts.
and guavas and things like that.
But in the meantime, this
Yes.
is what we discovered too. There's a beautiful jazz festival in France called Marciac.
Oh man,
And if you want to hear a concert, full concert that happened in Marciac a few years ago, they're going to be showing it on their festival.
it's the concert that I performed when Herlin Riley joined me and Hassan Shakur, and we rocked that house that night. We were in the tent. I don't know, about 1,500 people, I think, and they didn't want to let us up the stage, and it was quite an event. And the organizer there asked me if I would let them show it again, and I said, yeah, why not? You know.
It's on Sunday, tomorrow.
Yes.
I think it's 4 p.m. because it's 10 p.m. in France. So 4 p.m. and the website is www.marciac. Is it Marciac Jazz Festival? Marciac, I wrote it here.
Marciac is there?
Here it is. Jazz in Marciac.
Oh.
M-A-R-C. Oh, and
Oh,
speaking of which,
I just saw this when I went to Marciac, and I'd been there, as Grady used to say, most numerous of times. I had been there on this is 1985. They presented me with a whole box of bottles of red wine. In fact, I had an uncle that would come over to visit my mother, and he liked to do a little
red whining.
red wining. And I remember my mother had a globe, and in the globe some beverages, and included a bottle of this or a bottle of that, and just sat there minding its own business. And my uncle would come into the house and say, "Hi May," his sister May says, "Hi Jim," and he said, "So what's in the world today?" What's in the world? The world was the globe, and that's where all these drinks were, and there were about 12 of these bottles of Marciac wine, and they put my picture on it. There's Monty Alexander
Yes,
before the gray hair, and that's 1985, and it's Jazz in Marciac, and I was able to salvage one bottle because the uncle he took all of those. He drank them and had a ball. I hope he did. What?
Do they still do that? I don't know.
I have
In
no
Marciac.
idea, but it probably not. But what do I know?
That's a region there.
Yes. This is near Toulouse, and that's where you would fly into, and they would pick you up, and you drive about 2.5 hours to get to the little town of Marciac. And all these towns that ended "ac." There was Aurillac, there was Armagnac. That's where Cognac, a lot of yak going on. Yeah. And that's where the famous Three Musketeers kind of hung out, you know. And that was that region where the novels were written by Alexandre Dumas. right?
I mean, Three Musketeers.
The Three
Yes.
Musketeers. And as a kid, like, I loved Errol Flynn. Anytime you see the guy with the sword, I'd get the sword. I almost poked out my brother's eye. Where's my brother? I had a
Here,
picture of him.
that's a nice picture.
Oh, this is me and my brother. The two fools, they are. Monty and Larry, who is Larry is very well. He's down in Florida.
Yeah,
He's,
maybe the same year
he's-
as that.
yeah, but he's down there and he's in great shape. Vietnam vet, went through some stuff like all those guys did. Came back from the war in Vietnam and they had much disregard from the American public, basically, because the news was all down on them. But my brother's this great guy. We talk on the phone and I get to smiling even more. So, brother Larry and I,
That's a nice shot.
what I mentioned his name, doesn't matter.
Because we're talking about wines and brothers. I don't know.
No, you know that's not
But
right.
can we talk about this album
Okay, wait a minute. Well, that was going to
What?
come a little later.
later? Okay.
Or yes, let's find out. You've just
Okay,
sung.
so I'm done.
You just sang Because of You, Tony Bennett song, and maybe that's the time to tell them about. Oh, here's another very important and wonderful man in my life. Not just because of his incredible piano artistry, because I had various heroes of piano players. There were some in Jamaica, guys that did not play professional. They played home and played the old songs, and I heard that, and I heard the records and the radios playing piano versions. They didn't have to be great piano players, but I heard the piano. I was very attracted to it. And this man, well, anyway, this was considered one of the true greats of all time. His name was Oscar Peterson. Oscar Peterson, who was a man whose family came from the islands, like I do. In fact, I knew him so well, and we'd get together when he saw me, and we'd start giggling and chuckling and laughing and telling jokes and saying those irreverent Jamaican island words that sometimes people would, don't say that, that's rude. But Oscar was my friend, and he told the people at his record label at the time, MPS, to sign me up because I was worthy and I should be making recordings. And I had already made 3 or 4 or 5, I don't know, and I started recording for MPS, and there was a list of
Yeah,
records.
and it's also Oscar's birthday coming up.
So Oscar Peterson's birthday coming up is on the 15th, and all these albums that I made, they're re-releasing them sometime from 1971. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. And
That's the whole list.
okay. So
But
let me look at the list too. You know what's not here? Here Comes the Sun. There's
Because
no
it
Here
was
Comes-
released already.
Okay.
That-
So here's It
Isn't that
Comes
it?
the Sun.
LPs.
So these albums have been re-released and they're now in vinyl, and people who care and who are interested in hearing me play piano, which is what I did and made 76 albums, and now I'm talking, sharing great stories.
This is, look, before and after.
Yeah, that's the same guy, believe it or not, right? It's what happens to some of us if we're here long enough, right? And I
That's
put
nice.
this here, and I'm going to share this with
This
you.
one too?
We have a bulk of some albums, and this is a record.
That's a price.
Let me speak of this. Yes. And these albums, this one in particular, became probably the one that most people know when I recorded with John Clayton and Jeff Hamilton live in 1976 at the Montreux. Say Montreux for me.
Montreux.
You gotta have that French thing where you can make the mouth go like this. Say it again.
Montreux.
Hmm?
Montreux.
My turn. Montreux. Or if you don't know, you say Montreux because there's an X at the end. X. So anyhow, it's Monty Alexander, 1976, and it was the one that all the young piano players come to me and say, Mr. Alexander, how did you play that? Why did you play that? I say, man, I don't even know why I'm here in front of you, because I don't understand how I came this far by playing the piano. It's been a miraculous ride that I'm still it, even after I had one of those things called strokes. Yes, I always end up saying it because it really happened about 9 years ago, and I kind of slowed down the left hand, but I still go for it. It's not what you get, it's the going for it that's important. All right. So these are available for purchase, and we have the website.
Not these on your website.
Well, we're going to
These
put
are
it up,
IPS.
but they're available.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, but we have them. We also can sell them, right? Okay. Now, Warwick Hill is the main one
That's the one we have.
to talk about, and this is my recording where I play songs of Thelonious Monk, and I took it very to the roots of Jamaican rhythms, and it came off in such a way that it attracted a lot of interest, and people said, you got to make vinyl, and we did. So we have the vinyl copies, and Miss Cat co-pilot. She's taking care of that whole area.
And you can sign it in blue, in black, or in white. See, we have the.
Yeah. Okay. So there it is. It's called Warwick Hill, and that's where the artist would. Hey, this is really a commercial, isn't it? We're not supposed to be doing commercials.
We're just doing it. It's
Okay.
nice.
All right. This is Monty Alexander standing on 125th Street or thereabouts in Harlem. I got this ridiculous jacket on, and the sky's there,
and there's a bird.
There's the bird up there in the sky, and blah blah.
Anyway,
so that's that. So now, I'm talking about Oscar. He hooked me up with MPS, and as a result, as I said, I made all these albums, and apparently they want to re-release them over a period of time coming up, and that song called Because of You that Katerina just sang, it makes me think of another song that starts with Because, that my mother was a big fan of. And it's here somewhere, and I'm going to try to remember it, and I'll have a go at it. My mom used to sing it. Because you're mine, the brightest star I see looks down my love and envies me. Because you're mine, because you're mine, because you're mine. The breeze that hurries by is like a melody, and why? Because you're mine, because you're mine. I only know for as long as I may live, I'll only live for the kiss that you alone give me. And when we kiss, that isn't thunder, dear, it's only my poor heart you hear, and it's applause. Because you're mine. So that's a song called Because You're Mine. I originally also heard it from Mario Lanza, who sang Because You're Mine. He had that voice. He was an opera singer, and he ended up making these incredible films. And moving along, Nat King Cole, who I also heard singing that song, and I saw Nat King Cole in Jamaica in 1956, and changed my life. Seeing both Nat Cole and Louis Armstrong, these were my jazz heroes. And he sang this song, and I'm going to have a go with it because I remember it. In fact, I'm not always singing, folks. I'm a piano player, and very rarely have I done a vocal, whereas folks would say, man, you should do an album, you know. But here's one of the songs I remember, if I can even remember it now. It's called Too Marvelous for Words, and I heard Nat sing it, I heard Sinatra sing it, and others. And I used to have a go at it. You're just too marvelous for words, like glorious, glamorous, and that old standby amorous. You're just too wonderful, I'll never find the words to tell enough, spell enough. I mean, they just aren't swell enough. You're just too much, and oh so very, very, to ever be in Webster's dictionary. So I'm borrowing this love song from the birds to tell you that you're marvelous, too marvelous for words. That's another song of Nat King Cole that I heard when he came to the Carib Theatre in Jamaica. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up soon and talk about one other album I did that I recorded in Jamaica, and it was once again Miss Katerina, known as Puss, that chose it. And what's that album?
I love the title of it.
Oh, this one. Oh,
That's
yeah.
For you Jamaicans, we're not going to pronounce this because
No.
I know it's not.
We don't say this word. This word you don't say. But there was a little mischief in me at that time. And I was like, you know, what you call irreverent is the word, mischievous. And I told the beautiful people from Germany, MPS Records, that we're going to go to Jamaica. Let's go to Jamaica and I'm going to record an album. And I have a beautiful word that means beautiful things. And the word is Ras. I shouldn't have said it, but I did. And but hey, it came out. So between my mother, when my mother heard that I called the record that name, she wanted to hit me over the head with a bottle. Yeah, what'd you do? You know, and that was Monty Alexander at his mischievous worst, best. And this record was recorded at Tough Gong Studios. And this was recorded in the year 1972, I think. And I played songs by Al Green, and I played some calypsos, and I played an Ernest Ranglin is on it, and he's swinging, and we're playing it, and everybody seemed to like this. I ended up playing on a Fender Rhodes keyboard because the piano was busted up in the studio. One of these rock and roll groups that came to Jamaica, they wanted to record an album for Atlantic Records, I believe, and the piano player, he was a pounder, you know, and he pounded the notes into the smithereens. And when I went there to record my album, the piano was dead. And I called a friend of mine, Leslie Butler. I remember Leslie, talented, one of several brothers who played piano. And Leslie loaned me his Fender Rhodes, which already had a couple of notes missing. And this is what you hear, but somehow the thing clicked. If you notice in life, things that you think are going to be a mess, you're shocked and surprised in a beautiful way when they work out to be A-OK. And in fact, a lot of rap groups, hip-hop groups sampled some of the music on this record. And it was one of the first albums where I'm bringing an electric piano, which I never played because this was by mistake. But then again, in life, there's no mistakes, right? Everything happened for a reason. So Ras is here. It's going to be released at some point, re-released. And that's me with that thing in front of my face, like when they say censored, you know. So enough about that. Don't say it again. I said it once and I should. And on that note, I think I want to wish you a good week, because if everything goes hopefully well, we'll be back here 4 o'clock next week to talk more about this, that, the other. Miss Cat will sing a song or two, and we will bring up some good cheer, because this is a good cheer right here. But the other kind of cheer we're talking about is a C-H-A-I-R. No, this is C-H-E-E-R. Cheer. And it was in a good chair. You know, it's a very British kind of way to say it. Cheer. Good chair, boy. And on that note, I'll shut my mouth and say thank you very much. Bless up and go your way with love in your heart for the rest of the world, and forgive those who you might think shouldn't get no forgiveness. But even them, those are the ones you forgive, but don't forget.
Shall we go out on Jamento?
Oh yeah, lick the Jamento one more time, and I hold up my. Hey. Jamaica.